Booksy, welcome back to my channel. Doesn't my background look gorgeous? I have a bookshelf up. That empty area is gone. There's a bookshelf which I'm in the process of just putting books on, kind of separating them, nonfiction and fiction, but I am still not sure how I'm going to organize them in general. So right now I'm just taking the books off the floor, putting them on the shelves, and we're going to be sorting and organizing and making this shelf beautiful for a long time to come. For now, it's just up. I am so excited. So I'm going to tell you today about some books that I've acquired in the last 7 weeks or so. I didn't post a September haul, so this video is going to share the books that I got in September, the books that I got in October, and then just a few days ago I pilfered some books from my husband's bookshelf, which you're gonna see in the vlog that I am working on for this week. But for now, I'm just gonna show you some of the things that I stole from his bookshelf and have appropriated. These are his bookshelves from his childhood home. We went to visit, and yeah, I just took some books home. He said, yeah, have at them. So they're mine. So I'm going to tell you about them in this haul video. But first, I'm going to tell you about the books that I bought myself in September. First one is The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson. You heard a lot about this because I read it during September as a buddy read with Patrice and Heidi and Doris. And we all absolutely love this book. It's all about the great migration of African Americans from the south of the United States to the northern states, where they were pushed and pulled, pushed because of the Jim Crow laws and intense racial segregation that they experienced in the South, and they were looking for freedom pre-civil rights movement and even during the civil rights movement and even a little bit post-civil rights movement. And this was just such a fascinating read. I learned a lot through this narrative nonfiction. If you haven't read this one, I recommend it. Isabel Wilkerson is a Pulitzer Prize winning author for her journalism. She didn't win an award for this book. Well, she didn't win the Pulitzer for this book, but I think it should have, you know, at least been a contender. I don't know what the history of the award was, but that was the first book I bought myself in September. I consider that my birthday gift because my birthday was at the beginning of September. But any book I buy myself, I consider a gift. I also bought Roddy Doyle's Patty Clark, Ha Ha Ha, which I read and talked about. I know I posted my review, but I don't know if it's up yet. In any case, I've talked about this book. It's about a kid, I think he's 10 years old, and he's growing up in Ireland, and he's learning about the world by watching his parents, watching how his parents treat each other, how they talk about their neighbors and their relatives, and internalizing a lot of the hatred that he hears from adults in his life, and how he represents that love-hate in his interactions with his siblings and his friends. And this book is heartbreakingly intense as it deals with how children process emotion, how they process grief, not grief, but how children process adult altercations, and you know, them having to deal sometimes with situations that are way past their emotional level, what they do to deal. I really like that one. It's a Booker Prize winning novel. And then the other book that I bought in September was this one, The Bone People by Carrie Holm. This is also a Booker Prize winning novel, and I don't remember which year this won the Booker Prize. Does it say on here? But Carrie Holm is from New Zealand. This is in 1983, and I haven't read it yet. I got this copy used on Amazon, and I don't love it. I usually don't buy books that are this beat up, and I'm thinking that I'm gonna put this in a free library and buy another copy for my shelves, but in the meantime, I'm probably gonna read this one. I've had this book on my TBR for a really long time, and I still don't know too much about the synopsis, but it is about the interaction between a woman who lives in New Zealand. She is kind of an artist living a hermetic life. She's part European, part Maori, and I think the story is about her interaction with someone who visits the island that she's been living on and disturbs her way of life. We'll have to see. I am interested in reading this specifically because it is set in New Zealand and I don't know too much about that history and culture. Books that I have read that were set in New Zealand, I think maybe just The Luminaries. Was The Luminaries set in New Zealand? Eleanor Catton's Booker Prize winning novel? I think so. Oops. So that was September. Those 3 books, this is all I bought in September. I didn't go crazy. In October, I also, so far, have only bought 3 books. I got one more from the publisher. I'm doing great, guys. I'm doing great in terms of keeping my book buying at a minimum. The first book that I bought myself, well, I subscribed to Book of the Month Club, and because I was coming back to them after canceling my subscription, well, canceling my gift, no, my gift subscription ran out, and so they offered me a free month, and so I took advantage by saying yes to The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which, you know the synopsis. I don't know the synopsis because I haven't read the synopsis. I've been trying to avoid hearing too much about this book, but I know that you know what this book is about, so I'm not going to go into it. I'm planning to read this one before the end of the month. I'm hoping to read that book before the end of the month. Ta-Nehisi Coates, you know, is famous for his nonfiction writing. He's a contributor in, is it The Atlantic magazine, as well as his first nonfiction book, which was Between the World and Me, which was an open letter, well, a letter that he wrote to his son about race relations in the United States, and he adapted it for a book. And then his follow-up book, We Were 8 Years in Power, about the Obama presidency. So I know that his writing, I enjoyed both of those books, so I know that his writing is really good. But as to how he writes novels, we don't know. That's to be proven when I read that book. But since I was getting a free book from Book of the Month Club, I decided to take advantage of the opportunity to add a book for $9.99. And Book of the Month Club is fantastic for that. I'm not getting paid to say this, but I will link in the description box down below my affiliate code. If you're interested in signing up with Book of the Month Club, I get a little kickback. You get a kickback. Or maybe you just pay regularly, but you help me get a little kickback. I think I get a free book when you sign up, which I'll share it with you on here. But what I was saying was that because I got a free book from them and I had an opportunity now to add on a book for $9.99, I chose to add a book that I was already going to buy, and that would have cost me more than $9.99. So I picked up The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood. This is her other Booker Prize winning novel. She won the Booker Prize in Margaret Atwood 2000. At the time when I bought this, her latest release, The Testaments, was still just shortlisted for the current Booker Prize award. Who knew that this would become her other Booker Prize winning novel? Again, don't know too much about this synopsis, and because I'm not sure when I'm going to read it, even though it's on my TBR this month, I'll tell you. It says the novel begins with a mysterious death, a possible suicide of a young woman named Laura Chase in 1945. Decades later, Laura's sister Iris recounts her memories of their childhood and the dramatic deaths that have punctuated their wealthy, eccentric family's history. Intertwined with Iris's accounts are chapters from the scandalous novel that made Laura famous, in which 2 illicit lovers amuse each other by spinning a tale of a blind killer on a distant planet. I'm looking forward to reading this. I have read things by Margaret Atwood that I've enjoyed. I really liked her adaptation of The Tempest by Shakespeare, which she entitled Hag's Seed. And I think that was, I don't remember if I read that before or after I read The Handmaid's Tale. And I really enjoyed both of those. Didn't love her Testaments. I'll link my review video down below if you haven't watched my ripping apart her novel. I didn't rip apart her novel, but I truly didn't care for that novel so much. I'll link it down below anyway if you want to watch my complete thoughts on that. But I want to read more from her. I think Margaret Atwood is an inspiration in general. She's published over 50 novels. Anyone who produces that much, I think, is someone to be admired. And so whether all her books are great or not, I mean, how much of what you do is superb? I know most of the things that I do are probably mediocre at best, so I'm not gonna complain, The other book that I bought myself in October thus far is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. And I've told you about this several times. I'm doing a read along hosted by Dee from Brown Girl Reading, which made me pick up this book, made me get a copy from the library, start it, realize that I loved it, and then order this from Amazon, which whenever I finish it, we're supposed to finish this by the end of November. This is going to look great in one of these shelves. So for now, I'm really enjoying this story, which is about a man who's been framed for a crime that he didn't commit, just because the people in his life are jealous of his success that he has attained in his youth. And it's a fascinating story. More on that later. The next book that I have here is one that I got from the author. She also sent me a really wonderful package, which I'm going to show you. The title is Gold Digger, The Remarkable Baby Doe Tabor, and the author is Rebecca Rosenberg. This is an autographed copy, of course, because the author sent it to me with a little note, which was cute. And she sent me a bunch of other things, which I'm going to show you. But this one is about the gold rush. It says in 1878, after Lizzie Doe's family loses everything in a fire, the 20-year-old is forced to marry and go west to prospect a gold mine in Colorado. Miners, unaccustomed to such delicate beauty, nickname her Baby Doe. But Baby Doe proves herself tougher than they imagined when she finds herself abandoned, pregnant, and running the mine alone. Her pluck gains the admiration of Silver King Horace Tabor, married and twice her age. In Horace Tabor, Baby Doe finds devotion and true passion. I feel like that synopsis gives too much of the story away, but we'll see. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to be reading it to review in sometime in November. So hopefully I'll forget all of that by the time it's time to actually read the book. I really like going into books without knowing too much about them. So one of the things about this book, the fact that it's set in a historical period in the past, the author created these recipe cards or recipe booklets. So it says, create a Wild West feeling with recipes from the era of Gold Digger. And so back and front, 6 recipes: Lizzie's venison stew, Colorado lamb chops, Hangtown fry, grilled buffalo steak, buffalo red eye stew, and matchless mine cheese soup, which I'm assuming her cooking skills are mentioned in the book. So 2 copies of those recipes are included here. The package was also gorgeous. Purple is my favorite color, so I was really excited when I saw that. It also came with this really cool peacock feather, and I wasn't sure what this was when I first opened it, but it is a mask. It's packaged in this fluid. It's a mask. The string is in back, and there's a note. So that is my little package from the author Rebecca Rosenberg. I'm going to be reading and reviewing her book next month, but for now I have it. So those are the books that I got through legal means. Other books I kind of stole. Well, this one was given to me. Mr. Brown, he's a typical guy's guy. He really likes motorized things. He likes trains, he likes trucks, he likes cars, he likes anything that is motorized vehicle. And he has this book, which he says he's going to read to the baby. So he made me pick this one from his shelf. But then he started to tell me about the Caldecott Honor, because this is a Caldecott Honor book. And Caldecott is one of the children's awards for books in this country. I'm familiar with the Newbery Medal. I didn't know about Caldecott, but I suppose that's given to the books that are below middle grade. So this book has no words. So I've been telling him, how can you read a book that doesn't have any words to a baby? But he's going to be reading the signs on the truck. So I guess we're hoping that it's going to be a boy. Otherwise, he's going to turn my daughter into a tomboy, which is fine. Fine. No problem. Other books that I took from his shelves to appease myself. The World's Most Mysterious Places. This is a Reader's Digest book. It says it's the earth, its wonders, and its secrets. I don't know who the author is because there is no author on the front. This is just a collection of pictures and information published under the Reader's Digest brand. So I suppose it's a collaboration of various staff members working at Reader's Digest. I'm hugging the book. I should show it to you. Exploring the Unknown. This looks like the Lascaux cave paintings. Is it? Yup. Very gothic feel to this one. Vampire haunts at Castle Braun in Transylvania. These are medieval worldview. Hereford Cathedral's Mappa Mundi. Exploring the Unknown. This is Captain James Hook right here, who I'm hoping to learn more about very soon. Lots of pictures in here. Lots of pictures, and I'm going to be flipping through this at some point, maybe during Nonfiction November. That is The World's Most Mysterious Places. I also took from his shelves The Art of War, War and Military Thought. This is by Martin van Creveld. This is not the original Sun Tzu. I suppose it's a discussion of Sun Tzu's book, but look at these end papers. Oh my goodness. General Hans von Seeckt, a First World War commander and founder of the German Reichswehr, described the link between military thought and practice by saying, from knowledge to competence, it is a great step. From ignorance to competence, an even greater step. This book narrates the complete history of military thought and its impact on the art of war and warfare from the ancient Chinese through to the great masters of the 19th century, 20th century warfare and the wars of the future. I think that this is going to be an excellent lesson in history. I mean, I love the art. I love the pictures of art. I love the maps. I'm looking forward to all of it. I was just peeking out because there's someone walking outside the window and I thought it was right outside, but it's actually on the neighbor's side. So, looking forward to getting through this one, the interwar period. Oh, yeah. Reagan and Gorbachev. A lot of really great nonfiction finds over here. Most of these books were nonfiction. I also got, this is a book and recording duo. May It Please the Court is the title, and it is a book and tape combination that makes public the arguments from Supreme Court trials. It includes audio from cases like Gideon versus Wainwright, Miranda versus Arizona, Roe v. Wade, Regents v. Bach, the Vietnam protests in schools, Tinker versus Des Moines, the Pentagon Papers, New York Times versus United States, the Stop and Frisk, Terry versus Ohio. It has the Little Rock school desegregation. That was Cooper versus Aaron. It has Loving versus Virginia. It has Bowers versus Hardwick, homosexual rights. It has the Watergate tapes, United States versus Nixon. And DeShaney versus Winnebago County from the child abuse case. 23 live recordings of these landmark cases as argued before the Supreme Court. So it includes a book and the audio recording. I don't have a tape player anymore. tells you how old this book is. I don't have a tape player. I think I could probably get access to one, but even without that, I'm gonna look on the internet and see if I could find maybe digital links. But the book itself should be really interesting to read. I know I have my nonfiction November TBR set. I've already shared that video with you, which I'll link down below if you haven't watched it. But at some point, maybe not for November, but at some point, I'm going to get to this as well. It has transcripts from the court cases. So whether you hear the voices or you just read some of what happened in court, I'm sure this is going to be a very impactful book to get through. So May It Please the Court is this box set. I'll put that back later. Other books that I took, The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. This has other writings included as well. This is the Barnes & Noble Classic Edition. And this is pretty short. The Prince section is even shorter. So, I don't know. I might be adding this to my nonfiction November TBR, because my TBRs are never set in stone. I almost never read all the books that I have identified, and I usually add books or replace books or substitute books, however you want to say that. I usually read books that are not on my TBR just because I'm a huge mood reader, guys. The last history book that I took from his shelves was Christopher Columbus, The Four Voyages. This is a Penguin classic. It says this enthralling book presents a smooth and vivid narrative of the voyages to Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, and finally the mainland of Central America. This one is translated by J.M. Cohen, but I don't know who the original author is. Oh, it says right here, J.M. Cohen ingeniously weaves together the admiral's own letters and logbook, the letters of the fleet physician and a loyal lieutenant, the scholarly biography by Columbus's son, Hernando, and Oveda's official history to create a record of supreme courage and achievement. It also makes a revealing portrait of a fascinating but unstable personality who fluctuated wildly between awed enthusiasm, irritability, paranoia, eccentric geographical speculation, and religious fervor. Writers ever since have provided important insights into Columbus's motives and methods. Yet for anyone truly interested in the man and his mission, this remains the fundamental primary source. So on the cover it says is a section of the monument to Columbus in Madrid. Columbus's discovery of America counts as perhaps the greatest gamble of all time. His own account, however self-serving, brings us as close as we will ever get to the sheer excitement of unfolding events. This Penguin classic, my dears, is just a little over 300 pages. Someday I'll get to this, but for now I took it home. And the last book that I took from Mr. Brown's shelves is this mass market paperback size Barnes & Noble classic of Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. I've never read this book. It's shameful to admit, but every time it comes up on a list of books that you should read, I have to say no, I haven't read it. I intend to rectify that sometime soon. It said this book sold 10,000 copies in its first week. It was published in 1852, and it sold 300,000 in its first year. Those are still really good stats for a book published in 2019. It says its vivid dramatization of slavery's cruelty so aroused readers that it is said Abraham Lincoln told Stowe her work had been a catalyst for the Civil War. Mr. Brown also has a nonfiction book, a kind of a biography, I suppose, on not just Harriet Beecher Stowe, but her entire family and the work that they did with African Americans during this time period. So I'm probably going to read those two books together as companions at some point. Want to get to this one sooner rather than later. 1852. It doesn't fit into Victober. It doesn't fit into Gone with the Book. So I'm putting this on my TBR for December. Uncle Tom's Cabin, as well as the biography on the Stowe family, the Beecher Stowe family. So these are the books that I have gotten my hands on my sticky little hands on in the last few weeks. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these and want to talk a little bit more about them. From this, I've read 2 of them so far. I read 2 of the books that I got. Over the course of the year, I'm doing this challenge called Read Your Books Challenge, which started a few years ago on a blog that I used to follow. And I don't think that blog is hosting that challenge anymore. But I still take a record of all the books that I have bought throughout the year. And I keep marking them off as I've read them, just to see what percentage of the books that I have bought I have read. And I have lists that go back 2 or 3 years, so I can update them and see how many of the books I read during the year that I bought them, as well as how many of the books I've read subsequently. So even before I had a BookTube channel, I had a blog, so I have those records, and at some point, maybe later in the year, I'll share my statistics. Well, I guess at the end of the year, I'll share my statistics with you for this year. How many of the books I bought in 2019, I read in 2019. But I feel like I'm doing really well so far. I've been trying to keep up with the books that I have bought. Not buying, I stopped going to my local Goodwill, which is where I used to buy a ton load of really cheap used books and just put them on my shelves as I was trying to build my library. But this year, most of the books that I have bought so far have either been Booker Prize winners or books that I needed for a specific reason. So I think most of the books that I have bought, I have read. Most. I'm gonna say more than 50% of the books that I have bought so far this year, I have read. I'm gonna look up those stats and I'll put the number right here. I'll tell you how many books I have bought so far in 2019. That's this number. And how many books of that number I have read. That's this number. And then what's my percentage? That's this number. So we'll find out together. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm working on a vlog. This is officially Baby Watch Week. So on Thursday, I'll probably post that vlog, and then I'll make a weekend vlog that goes on Friday, because Friday is my husband's birthday. Hopefully we'll do something fun. It's going to be a big weekend. We'll talk about that, but that's for the next vlog. So today is book haul day. Tomorrow is vlog day. Friday is Friday Reads Day and the start of the new vlog, and more videos to come. Hope you'll subscribe so you don't miss any of them. If you want to hear more about me and my life and my bookish shenanigans, subscribe, thumbs up, and let's talk in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to chat with you. So let's talk down there, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.